You're out of your mind. Ain't it cool?
Hello, and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films. Some good, some bad, and some are downright awful. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host Maverick Drenzaria. This week we're taking a look at the film Broken Arrow from 1950.
Yeah, this came out on July 20th, 1950. Oh, wait, wrong movie. I was about to say, I don't remember James Stewart being in this movie. But anyway, it was released on February 9th, 1996. So,
And
a year
I'm
before Con Air was released.
Yeah. And I'm actually looking at the budget versus box office, and I'm a bit astounded by that.
Yeah, because it cost $50 million and made $150.2 million. So not quite as much as Con Air.
Yeah, it's still an impressive amount, though.
Yeah. And this was John Woo's second American film. He started off, he was a Hong Kong director.
Yeah.
You know, he did Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Hard Boiled, which are all awesome movies, by the way. I feel like Hard Boiled we might do a podcast on at some point.
I think I've heard of that one before, and I'm looking at the poster, and I will say I am very intrigued.
It has one of the most insane shootouts I have ever seen in a movie. It's this huge shootout in a hospital. It's fucking crazy.
I would expect nothing less from the face-off.
And that's kind of what his
director.
movies are like. They're just known for their really frenetic action scenes, and over-the-top style. So he's sort of like Sam Raimi in that he's able to really keep the energy up, But Broken Arrow was his second American film. His first being Hard Target, which Jean-Claude Van Damme was in.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't as good as Broken Arrow, but and then of course after this he did Face Off. He also did some movies that aren't as awesome, like Mission Impossible 2. Everybody's favorite Mission Impossible movie. And Paycheck, which had our good buddy Ben Affleck in it. And when asked about that movie, what Ben Affleck, when he was asked about the movie Paycheck, like why he was in the movie, he said, "The reason is in the title."
Yeah, I would have figured as much.
Did it for a paycheck. Now the cast. Okay,
This is an interesting cast, especially for me.
John Travolta's in this. Now this is his first appearance on our podcast, besides my imitation of his character from Battlefield Earth in the Supergirl podcast.
It's kind of amazing it's taken us this long to get to a single John Travolta movie.
Yeah. We didn't do a podcast on Saturday Night Fever yet. Or Grease. We're not doing a fucking podcast on Grease.
How would you do a podcast on Grease?
Basically, I would spend the whole thing complaining about how they're not in fucking high school. They look like they're in their 30s. Their 20s, but yeah, John Travolta's in this, and he plays the villain. I think this is the first time he played a villain in a movie.
That's actually interesting.
I think, at least. I can't think of any before this where he did. Of course, after this, he kind of got typecast as a villain, because Face Off, The Punisher, he was in the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane.
I guess he's...
Battlefield Earth. Unless, does Pulp Fiction count?
I was about to mention, but I think that technically counts as an anti-hero.
He's more of an anti... Yeah. Him and Samuel Jackson.
Well, he was in the Scientology orientation film before this.
Yeah, working with L. Ron Hubbard kind of makes you a villain. But, yeah, which, speaking of Pulp Fiction, that movie was kind of a comeback for him, because his career kind of hit a slump in the 80s and 90s, but then after that movie, he's a huge star again. He gets top billing in this one, too, so,
I completely forgot John Travolta was in The Boy in the Plastic Bubble.
That's right. I watched that recently actually, and apparently, Bubble Boy was a kind of a remake of that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. Terrible movie. But and then Christian Slater, he also was in this, which
Yep.
It's been a while since he's been anywhere close to being an A-list star. Because there was a period where people thought he was going to be like, upcoming, star,
Yeah.
Because there was Heathers, Pump Up the Volume, that was another movie. I feel like... Oh, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, he was in that.
Oh, yeah.
With Kevin Costner, who doesn't even attempt to do a British accent in that movie.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at a lot of his movies. A lot of the recent ones are direct-to-DVD.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, Interview with the Vampire. I forgot about that one.
Hmm.
True Romance. Okay, True Romance would make an interesting podcast, if you haven't seen it.
I have not.
That, Tony Scott directed it. Tarantino, he wrote the script for it.
Yeah.
He didn't direct it. It's an entertaining movie, from what I remember. Has one of my favorite, Christopher Walken appearances in it. He's only in one scene, and it's the best scene in the movie.
Well, that's a good sign.
But yeah, Christian Slater, they were trying to make him into an action star, and I can kind of see why that didn't catch on.
Yeah.
He kind of seems
He's
a little
not the
dopey.
greatest hero.
He's kind of, yeah. He just seems like, he seems like kind of a klutz, honestly. But
Yeah.
it does kind of work in this movie, though, because, Christian Slater, he's supposed to be, like, the younger Air Force pilot, whereas John Travolta is the more older, experienced one.
Yeah.
He's looking to retirement,
And I will say, on top of that, I think his performance does work well, just because, despite the topic, the film is strangely lighthearted about everything.
It is, yeah. That was something I was noticing. I was like, this feels surprisingly light, especially you compare this to Con Air.
Yeah.
Con Air felt really grimy and
It took itself really seriously.
ready. Not really. I mean, it's just
Well,
there
it was
more,
silly, but like the world, it took
It
itself
was a
seriously.
tougher
There was like
movie.
no one.
It was a
Yeah.
more macho movie, whereas
Yeah.
this one feels a little more lighthearted. Which is surprising considering it's about. We'll get to the nuclear weapons. I mean,
Yeah.
Samantha Mathis, which
You
know what that means? That means this movie has a direct connection
connection
to the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Every time I watch this movie, I forget that she's in it, and then I'm like, hold on, is that Princess Daisy?
Yeah, although her hair is a different color.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers. I'm still not over the fact that his name's Mario in that.
Mario and Luigi Mario.
Luigi Mario, yeah. Man, if only John Leguizamo was in this movie, but anyway. Delroy Lindo, he's in this.
Yep.
He's in this more than I thought he would be, too.
Yeah, he shows up quite a bit.
And what's funny is I actually was recently rewatching another movie he was in that also had John Travolta in it, because he's in Get Shorty. Although in that movie it's reversed. He's the bad guy in Get Shorty, and Travolta's the protagonist. But yeah, and then Frank Whaley, who I saw him and I was trying to figure out where I recognized him from.
Yeah.
And apparently he was Matthew Broderick's roommate in The Freshman.
Really?
Yeah. Which that movie also has Marlon Brando in it.
And he also played Brett in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay. So that's two Pulp Fiction actors in this, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
Is Delroy Lindo in that? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Ving Rhames was. He's Marcellus Wallace in that.
Oh, yeah.
And Frank Whaley basically plays the John Cusack role from Con Air in this.
Yeah. I was watching like, this feels oddly similar.
And I'm gonna be honest, his performance in this made me appreciate John Cusack a little more.
The best part is you could probably completely remove that character and the entire film would flow just fine.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, Bob Gunton, he's in this. You know him from The Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
You know, he played the warden in your favorite movie. Howie Long, he's in this.
Yep.
Former football player.
It's always interesting when athletes become actors.
Yeah. Michael Jordan. Or Shaquille O'Neal. You remember Kazam? That classic?
Yeah, fantastic movie.
That movie's so fucking bad. Or wait, is it Shazam and Sinbad is in it? I don't remember. And Kurtwood Smith, he's in this. You know, Clarence Boddicker from RoboCop.
Huh.
As well as the guy from that 70s show, Red Foreman. He's also in Rambo 3, apparently. Yeah, so not really any returning cast members, but hey, it's nice to get John Travolta and Christian Slater on the podcast.
Yeah,
And Kurtwood Smith. Kurtwood Smith's barely in it, though. And we also have a returning composer.
Yes, good old Hans Zimmer.
Because I was like listening to the music, and I was like, you know, this score is interesting. And then later I found out it was Hans Zimmer. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I was
Really?
surprised.
That's
I
Hans
was
Zimmer?
surprised to see Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Because it doesn't really sound like Hans Zimmer. Well, I guess his score in Black Rain is kind of like that with guitars and stuff. But yeah, because there's this like guitar strum that happens here and there, which kept reminding me of the four notes from Pink Floyd's "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," except much lower. You know, do 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 do. You know that. But that makes this Hans Zimmer's fourth appearance in a movie on our podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so initial thoughts on the movie. This is a movie we had both seen previously, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I personally, it's a fun movie to watch, kind of like Con Air. It's not a fantastic movie, but you do have a good time watching it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it in this movie comes down to John Travolta.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, because
he carries this film
because
pretty
this
hard.
movie, it's not great, but it's entertaining. It's a perfectly standard '90s action movie. You know, it's just elevated by John Travolta's performance. Because I think Con Air has the advantage because of the cast.
Yeah.
Because that movie, it not only has Nicolas Cage, it also has John Malkovich.
Yep.
And Steve Buscemi. Whereas this, you have John Travolta and everyone else, I guess. Yeah. Not that everyone else is bad, but John Travolta's just, you know, his performance is like...
He steals the show.
He's very entertaining to watch. You know, it's just... And it's also a funny performance because you're like, this guy is mad, but he knows it too. And that's like, there were a few moments throughout this movie where it seemed like he was a few seconds away from having some kind of nervous breakdown and going completely insane, but there was still some part of him that was stopping it.
Yeah.
This definitely is not a movie that you could take that seriously.
Yeah.
It's not you know, Con Air, I mean, obviously it was pretty ridiculous in tone and stuff, but there was still some aspects of it that you could take somewhat seriously, whereas this, again, like you said, it handles things pretty lightly. this is no fail-safe. It's not, the threat of nuclear war. It's just what happens. It's not like, oh, it's like this huge scary thing. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but you don't get that sense while watching this, But yeah, we can get into recapping it now. We start off with the opening credits, which the credits were interesting because the font caught me off guard. It's like it's red.
Yeah.
And aside from the main title, it's all in lowercase.
That's a good point. I didn't notice that at first.
And I was like, that's an interesting choice there.
And then while the credits are flashing on screen, or going on screen, it flashes to a boxing match between John Travolta and Christian Slater.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I put on Raging Bull when I was going to watch this. But yeah, they're basically doing that as a training exercise.
Yeah.
And it happens over the entirety of the opening credits. Once the fight's over, the credits are done.
Yeah.
So that means somebody was paying attention to the editing, It's a well-edited movie.
It definitely is.
And one thing this movie also reminded me of is that John Travolta looks really cool when he's smoking a cigarette. Like Blowout, he looks cool smoking a cigarette. Get Shorty, Does he smoke a cigarette in Pulp Fiction?
Oh, he for sure does.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. And Christian Slater, one thing I noticed is his voice is interesting. And also kind of hard to take seriously.
I feel like that's part of the lighter tone. Like, it feels like he's joking in every situation, even if it's super serious.
Like, he sounds more like he should be playing, like, a sleazy lawyer or businessman or something,
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out these two are Air Force pilots.
Now, it might just be, the fact that they're Air Force pilots, but I don't know. A lot of that beginning stuff reminded me of Top Gun.
I did too, actually. I actually was thinking John Travolta could have played Iceman in Top Gun.
Okay, I was thinking that exact same thing.
Because his
every
hair,
time he was wearing
Is,
sunglasses.
like, his hairstyle is so similar to what Val Kilmer had in that movie.
Yeah.
And John Travolta and Tom Cruise, in the same movie, that would be the two most famous Scientologists in one movie. And yes,
that would be dangerous.
There will be Scientology jokes later on. You can get on that. But anyway, they have to fly a B-3 with nuclear warheads on it.
Now, it's supposed to be like a practice exercise, so I don't know why they loaded up real nuclear warheads onto the...
That's a good point. Yeah.
That feels like a horrible decision when you're doing like the first test run of an experimental fighter jet to just load it with nukes.
Yeah. They are unarmed, though. They're unarmed, but... Well, not yet, anyway. And you get a slow-motion shot of them giving military salutes, which is like one of the first shots you see in the trailer. Because, of course. And the movie this is something I was noticing, this movie is wasting no time in getting to the plot.
Yeah, and it gets right to, like, I feel like it's within the first 5 minutes, we're already, like,
exactly, yeah. I wrote that down at, like, the 5-minute mark or something. It's, like, already, we had the setup, Being the 90s, I will say some of the flying effects at the beginning look a little bit wonky. You can tell there's some CGI there, but
looks better than Escape from LA.
True, yeah, but it is a little bit worse than Con Air.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. And then it cuts to some park rangers okay. Um,
Yep.
and there's a guy camping out, and a guy in a car gets out and shoots him. And I
It
like
was
how
so
after he
weird,
shot
too,
him, he
because-
just falls over dead on the campfire.
Yeah.
And then you get more guys show up, and one of them is the warden of Shawshank Prison.
Now that is the plot. That is a big plot twist.
Yeah. Because he died in Shawshank Redemption, right?
Yeah, he shoots
He
himself.
shoots himself in the head, yeah.
Because he's about to get arrested.
I guess, yeah. Who knows? Maybe Rita Hayworth is still alive, too. Yeah, and then they're back on the plane.
So the scene in the plane I find super hilarious.
There was some funny
they're-
banter here, yeah.
Because they're just joking around a little bit, talking to one another, mostly about the boxing match they just had. And then Christian Slater makes a...
Might have missed a few lines, but is this where they introduced the whole $20 bill thing?
that was part of the boxing match.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because I think I was like I looked down when it, because I kept noticing later in the movie they like have that motif of the $20 bill. I'm like, I must have missed that or something. But anyway, sorry, continue.
So it's just some lighthearted banter, basically. Travolta's character, Deakins, sorry. He's been unable
Deacon
to
is
move
the
up.
villain in Waterworld.
Yeah. So John Travolta is not able to move up. He's been passed over by promotions. And then Christian Slater's like, I wanted to be a fighter pilot my whole life. And then we get this like exchange between them that I die at. I just die laughing every time it happens. So Travolta says, nah, flying doesn't mean what it used to mean to me. And then Slater responds with, not the flying, carrying the nukes. I know you. You love having the power of God at your fingertips. You get off on it. And then out of nowhere, Travolta just like glares at him for like a solid 10 seconds while this music sting plays. And then they go back to normal for like another 10 seconds. And then Travolta pulls a gun on him.
There's like a drum. That was where they were trying to do that whole thing of having like a dramatic choir play on the soundtrack. Yeah. And also how the camera just zooms in on Travolta's face, too.
It's such a
They're
weird
like-
effect.
They're like going, hey, look, audience, bad
It's
guy.
the bad guy.
Yeah.
Every time I get to that scene, I always end up laughing super hard.
It is
at
kind
it.
of funny, yeah, just the way they pulled out. But again, that's John Woo's style. He likes
Yeah.
doing just over the top stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pulled out a gun on a Salter, and I misspelled Christian Slater's last name at one point in the notes. And there's a scuffle. And did Slater get pushed out of the plane, or did he get ejected?
I believe he ejects himself.
Because I missed that. Okay, that makes more sense. He like ejected himself out of the plane, yeah. And the bombs, they get released, the unarmed bombs, and
Yep.
Travolta ejects himself before the plane crashes. And again, some of the effects here look kind of wonky.
Yeah, kind of dated.
They look better as the movie goes on, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the war room.
Where they're preparing a fake
can't
story
fight
to
here,
cover
this
up
is
for
the war
the crash.
And for a second, I thought Kurtwood Smith was playing the president, but apparently not.
Hmm.
And he kind of looks like Dick Cheney
A little bit, yeah.
or President Merkin Muffley from Doctor Strangelove, because it's the war room. But he's the Secretary of Defense, and there's one line that kind of makes
I
me
think I
laugh-
know what line
laugh
it
a little
is.
bit. There's like one guy who's telling him about what happened, and then he says, "We're all gonna look extremely stupid." He
And
went
so,
a little funny in the head, just a little funny, and he went and did a silly thing.
And so this scene to me feels a lot like the scenes with the DEA and Con Air.
Exactly,
where they're
yeah.
just
'cause
setting
that
up
one guy,
that the people in charge are incompetent.
the one guy kept reminding me of John Cusack's character.
Yeah.
So would that make Kurtwood Smith the Star Trek guy? I think he was in Star Trek, actually.
Really?
If I remember right. As was Christian Slater. Christian Slater was in Star Trek 6. Yeah, he was in Star Trek 6. And he was in Deep Space Nine. Oh, and Voyager. Wow.
Oh,
he was
wow.
in quite a
He
few
loves Star Trek.
Nice. So let's see, Voyager also means we could have gotten Janeway, or let's see, Deep Space Nine. Fuck, I'm trying to remember who the captain was on that. I don't remember.
I don't know enough about Star Trek to help
Black
with
guy.
this.
What the hell was the black guy's name? I'm fucking racist, I guess. I don't remember his name. Fuck. Sisko. Benjamin Sisko. Okay. I'm not the biggest fan of Deep Space Nine, so that's probably why I forgot. Hey, if it was Next Generation or the original series, I probably would have been more up on that. The military shows up at the wreckage of the plane and say they have a broken arrow.
Which is a code word for the situation where they lose a nuclear weapon.
Yep. They got the secret word, so then the duck comes down and they get $500. But anyway, is broken arrow an actual term, or did they just make that up?
I believe they made it up for this movie.
Because you look up broken arrow, the first two things that come up are the 1996 film, the 1950 film. Oh, what is a broken arrow? Okay, here we go. The military used the term broken arrow to describe any incident in which a nuclear weapon is lost, stolen, or inadvertently detonated. Okay.
Oh, so it is an actual term then.
Okay. And then there's like one guy, I think it was the John Cusack guy, he says it's scary this has happened enough times that there's a term for it.
Yeah.
Hey, be lucky they haven't reached threat level midnight on this one. And Christian Slater has landed somewhere in the Utah desert.
And is rescued by Princess Daisy.
Which I will say this is a very nicely shot movie.
Oh,
There's lots of good shots
is.
of the desert. You know, I think they actually filmed some of this in Utah, if I remember right. And he puts a $20 bill under a rock for some reason and encounters Samantha Mathis. And their first encounter is turbulent, to say the least.
So Princess Daisy pulls a gun on Christian Slater. Christian Slater takes the gun away, so Daisy pulls a knife on him, leading to a very close standoff between the two. Daisy says that the gun is never loaded.
And she lied to him because she takes the gun back and then points it at him.
Yeah, and then fires it
Yeah.
into the air.
That's a smart move right there. And then the helicopter, cutting to a different scene, because you got the warden showing up again. After a helicopter lands, another guy gets shot. Just people getting dispatched just for no reason.
So they're supposed to be out looking for the nuke.
And the warden shows up. One guy asks any sign of Deacon, and he said, and the warden says maybe he's dead. And then and this line, I thought this was a good entrance. You hear John Travolta say in the background, "What a terrible thing to say," and he just walks out of the music's like playing. He's wearing the sunglasses.
Now that's actually a very face-offy kind of line. Like that would fit right in.
And a face-off kind of shot too.
Yeah.
I could see Nicolas Cage saying that line.
I could see John Travolta pretending to be Nicolas Cage saying
that line. Oh, I can't wait to rewatch Face Off. And the warden is mad at him. And you also get some Coke product placement because John Travolta
yeah.
offers him a Coke and then drinks one.
Don't forget, one of the people that was flying the helicopter was eating a Crunch bar, got shot, and someone else picked it up and started eating it.
I don't remember that. Fuck.
Yo, you don't remember the
I
Crunch
missed
bar?
that. Oh, damn it. That's hilarious. I should go back and see if I can find that. Oh my god, that's really funny. I can't believe I missed that. It's hard to pay 100% attention to a movie
Yeah.
while also taking notes on it. So.
Yeah.
Let's.
It was pretty fast when it happened, but it was kind of a funny joke to see.
Christian Slater, he's like walking with Samantha Mathis. He accidentally steps on some endangered dirt.
Oh yeah, the footprint will be there for thousands of years,
like centuries. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. And then the military finds the 2 nukes. Then they get attacked and killed by some of Travolta's goons, including Howie Long.
Yep.
Who I guess is the Bond henchman in this movie. It feels like they were kind of going for that, because there's a lot of James Bond movies where they got like a really huge, like tall, blonde henchman, and he kind of feels like they were using him to fulfill that role. Like everything from Russia with Love to You Only Live Twice, The Living Daylights, the guy that chokes people with his headphones. This kind of is a James Bond plot. This is basically Thunderball.
Yeah, it is pretty similar.
Or Never Say Never Again, because they they remade it. But anyway.
With the same actor.
With the same actor, yes. Sean Connery's in both of them. Thunderball
Isn't Rowan Atkinson in Never Say Never Again?
Yes, he is, yeah. He's like the comic relief in that. That was like one of... that might have been his first movie, actually, now that I think about it.
Really?
One of them.
Huh.
Pat Roach is in that, too.
Huh.
He gets to beat up Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones movies and James Bond in Never Say Never Again. And not just James Bond, the OG James Bond, Sean Connery.
So he beats up both Henry Jones Jr.
and that too.
And Henry Jones Sr.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Wow.
And is about the point of the movie I realized, John Travolta is in this. I should be making more Scientology jokes.
You having it down?
Nukes actually play a huge part because they put all the souls into a volcano and they get nuked, but whatever. That's not a story the Jedi Council would tell you.
What?
But anyway, Travolta, he tells the warden to relax. And in this scene, Travolta seems slightly sped up or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He goes really fast.
He might be on crack in this scene, for all I know.
He's got that adrenaline high from crashing the plane.
And it kind of reminds me of a scene we'll get to in Face Off. We get more of Samantha Mathis and Christian Slater wandering around the desert, which there's a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah.
That might be part of why you said that the plot wasn't really... There seemed to be a lost plot in this. But I guess it's so we can get such great exposition as finding out that Samantha Mathis has a dog.
Oh, I didn't even remember that she had a dog.
She has to go feed a dog. It's just a throwaway line. And there's an explosion. They roll down a hill while get chased by a helicopter. And I like this part here where Christian Slater, he shoots the guy in the neck.
Yeah.
And then the blades of the helicopter, they almost cut him up. It gets really close to cutting up Samantha Mathis. Kind of like in the first Mission Impossible movie, now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Came out the same year as this.
Huh.
Who ripped off who? We may never know.
Maybe it's just great minds think alike.
Yeah, John Woo and Brian De Palma. Two very different directors, now that I think about it. One of them did Scarface and the other did Face Off.
Now that would be a mashup right there.
I could totally see Al Pacino in Face Off. And the warden, there were a lot of like scenes of just the warden getting mad at John Travolta.
Then John Travolta dropping a one-liner.
Exactly, yeah, it was so funny. And apparently he's mad because he's the guy putting money into the operation, and he's not happy with how John Travolta's handling it.
Yeah. And so Travolta goes on this bit of a rant where he's like, I'm a military man. I know how to do things. You never share command. And when he's going through with this, he's doing this weird thing with his teeth where he has his mouth closed, but his lips are all the way open.
Sort of like Val Kilmer in Top Gun. Yeah. But yeah. And there were a few lines here. There was two I'm going to mention. One is John Travolta says, "It's never a good idea."
It's never a good idea.
And the way he emphasizes idea, I found very amusing. And then there was another part where the warden, he asks, what if they don't pay up? And then John Travolta, like a psychopath, says, if they don't, Southwest will be a quiet neighborhood for about 10,000 years. And in that moment, he almost becomes the Joker.
He does.
He almost becomes Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker.
He's so insane in this movie.
It's so funny to watch. Yeah, there's the guy, the John Cusack guy.
Yeah. With his little scene cut in there. And then immediately taken away.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, it kept cutting back to him, and I was like thinking, maybe I was too harsh on John Cusack in Con Air, because this guy's even more boring in this. It contributes even less. But anyway, and then Christian Slater, he finally explains what's going on to Samantha Mathis, which, maybe he should have done that earlier.
It probably would have helped diffuse the situation when she had a gun pointed at him.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, although she does end up actually being helpful in the situation. She's a park ranger, and she knows the area, so she's able to lead him to where, he's looking for. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you think, you could have avoided all that conflict if you just said, Nuke fall down, Nuke go there, we have to go get Nuke.
Yeah.
And
so...
shit, was it Samantha Mathis? I think this is between Samantha Mathis and Christian Slater, where she says, what are you going to do? And he says, I'll think of something. Which kind of reminds me of a quote from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Sala asks Indiana Jones what he's gonna do, and he says, I don't know, I'm making this up as I go. Anyway, there were parts of this movie I was like, for some reason I kept thinking of Indiana Jones. I think maybe it was just the setting.
I can see that.
And the way, and the action scenes a little bit kind of reminded me of stuff from Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Christian Slater is definitely no Harrison Ford, that's for sure. Then again, most people aren't, so...
It's hard to be Harrison Ford.
Yeah. And this action scene... They're, like, climbing on top of cars. Again, it was reminding me of Indiana Jones a lot.
Yeah.
Especially the car chase in Raiders.
Yeah. And so... Christian Slater.
And the cars apparently have bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
That's actually smart of the villains.
That kind of makes sense because it's supposed to be like an army vehicle.
That's actually smart of the villains to think of that.
Yeah.
Because it feels like every action movie, the glass just, it's gone. It's obliterated,
Yeah. There's actually a line in this scene that I really like. So, Christian Slater ends up stealing one of the Humvees that has the nuclear weapons in the back. And so... John Travolta and his goons start chasing down the car, and they're shooting at it, And Travolta stops him and goes,
Would you mind not shooting at the thermonuclear weapons?
Yeah, that line was really funny. That's always been one of the standout lines for me. There's another one later.
yeah.
But that one I think is really funny. And there was also one part, like, this guy, like, one of the bad guys gets shot, and John Travolta, his car just runs over him, and he doesn't seem too upset or fazed
Nope.
by this. It's just, oh well. I'm a psychopath. Would you mind not shooting at the thermonuclear weapons? That's funny. There's also a line with Kirsten Slater, which I thought was kind of amusing. Kirsten Slater, he like throws a lit fuel tank at Travolta's car, and it blows up. And Samantha Mathis, she asks, "You learned that in survival school?" And then
I
Slater
learned it in
says,
New Jersey.
New Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey.
It's kind of like Cleveland.
But yeah,
in
scenes like
Escape
this...
from L.A.
Cleveland stuff. But yeah, it was about this point in the movie, I think I was just realizing what the tone of this was. Because it was kind of missing some of the grittiness that Con Air had. Although Con Air was still pretty goofy in parts. I mean, the bunny, you know. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box? But this one definitely felt a lot lighter. Like, the situations didn't feel quite as dire. I think it's because not as many good guys die in this.
Yeah, I can't really think of many. Like, the main character survives.
Both of them, yeah. Whereas in Con Air, like, some of the, like, Bubba dies, if I remember right.
Dave Chappelle dies.
And he wasn't a good guy, though.
He's a good guy in my heart.
I guess the Clayton Bigsby skit's pretty funny. Dave Chappelle in this movie, that actually would have made a little bit more sense now that I think about it.
What role would he have played?
Delroy Lindo's role? I don't know.
I say we replace Samantha Mathis with Dave Chappelle.
Oh my god. Oh man. That would feel more like Undercover Brother or something.
I was gonna say like a really weird and twisted version of Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Or was... Oh yeah, or that. Yeah. That was Dave Chappelle. Yeah, that's right. He plays Achu in that.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. Can't believe we've got a Robin Hood Men in Tights reference.
And we did it in the one podcast that Dave Chappelle isn't in.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm not exactly an expert on Dave Chappelle's filmography, okay? And another thing I was noticing is John Travolta in this movie, he seems simultaneously amused, but also incredibly annoyed by the situation.
His whole thing is he feels annoyed throughout the whole movie.
Like, it's like he's a few seconds away from having a psychotic breakdown.
I mean, he is at several parts of the movie.
He has enough self-awareness to stop himself from reaching that point. And Slater tries to disable the bombs, which I think the password is supposed to be swordfish, but he enters the wrong one.
And ends up activating the bomb.
Yeah. Which, this part was funny. The way John Travolta was delivering some of these lines. Because he calls him on the phone.
Yeah.
And the way he was like saying, "Come on, buddy, pick up the phone." And then when he's like kind of toying with Kirsten Slater when he's like entering the codes, he's like saying, "Outstanding, Hale, that's the spirit. Damn, I'm totally screwed now."
I like the one line where he says, "You know, Hale, I considered bringing you in on this. You want to know why I didn't?" And then Hale says, "Because I would have said no." And then Travolta says, "Nah, if you had said no, I'd have just killed you. I was afraid if you were going to say yes. because you don't have the balls to go through with something like this. We both know that. And then, but what I find funny is he's saying this at the moment that Hale is activating a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't have the balls to go through with the operation.
You just activated a nuclear warhead, my friend. Because apparently he rewired the circuitry so that entering the wrong codes would, And then we get an underground, a scene underground.
Chase scene, basically.
Yeah. They're like underground with the bomb. There's like shootouts. It is also around the point of the movie I was realizing, John Travolta's way cooler in this movie than Christian Slater.
Oh, completely.
Like, Christian Slater's kind of a dopey hero in this.
Yeah.
Like, let me put it this way. Christian Slater is more of a Clark Kent than a Superman. And speaking of which, John Travolta shows up with a machine gun. There's, like, one bad guy who's with him who's also, like, he's, like, firing his gun, and then Travolta says, "How many times do I have to say it? Please don't shoot the nuclear weapons." And then John Travolta, there was this one part which was kind of weird where he's stroking one of the nukes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I guess he's aware of his Thatan's origins.
Was this before or after he joined Scientology?
This was after. He joined Scientology in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
It was like on the set of Devil's Reign.
Huh.
That was before he was even in Saturday Night Fever. He lowers the amount of time on the nuke, so it's, instead of going off in 30 minutes?
Yeah, it goes down to 13.
13, yeah. And then he breaks the keys, so I guess just so it'll be hard to deactivate.
Yeah.
And then Travolta and Slater, they meet again. And Travolta accidentally shoots one of his own men at one point. When he's talking Slater down in the tunnels. And again, he doesn't seem that bothered by this.
Not really. It's almost like, it feels like he planned out everything, including all of this happening at points.
Exactly, yeah. He's the one pulling all the strings. Yeah. Pull the string! And Travolta, he's just taunting Christian Slater. Christian Slater asks at one point, "So that's what this is all about? Money?" Travolta chuckles and says, "Yeah."
It's another Die Hard-like thing, where it's not really terrorists, it's just essentially high-stakes bank robbers.
Exactly, yeah. I love that scene in Die Hard when Alan Rickman is interacting with Holly. She just calls him like a common thief or something, and he says, "Ms. McClane, I am an exceptional thief." God damn it, do your Alan Rickman impression. I'm not as good at it.
I am an exceptional thief.
There we go. Yep. There we go. Happy trails, Hans.
Happy trails, Hans.
I guess I could do a better Bruce Willis than you. Travolta whacks the warden in the neck with a club.
Oh yeah, and just kills him because he's tired of him making noise.
I guess, yeah. He just has, I don't know, it was so random. It's kind of like that part in Batman when the Joker just shoots Bob.
Yeah.
When he gets angry. There's like a helicopter chasing them. And then he realizes he's never killed someone face to face, as he's only flown bombers.
And he really feels nothing.
And he says, "I don't know what the big deal is. I really don't." He doesn't really get any rush out of killing people, or...
Nah, he doesn't. He's like, well, that happened.
I guess he's just a psychopath. And we get some pretty good explosions here when the nuke goes off and makes a crater.
It also ends up sending off an EMP that crashes the helicopter chasing John Travolta.
Yeah, which that makes this the second movie we've done that used an EMP.
Oh, that's right.
Same year, 1996.
Oh wow, that's right. What year did GoldenEye come out?
1995.
Oh, we were close. We're close to 3 EMPs in 1 year.
And you're gonna say no shit to this, but GoldenEye is a better movie. I mean, come on. It's fucking GoldenEye. And I also like how he's killed the warden, who his character's name is Mr. Pritchett in the movie. We've never been saying the character's name, but he's like killed him and he says, Mr. Pritchett, would you mind stepping outside? And then John Travolta just
pushes him out of the car.
he just kicks his body out of the car.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what an asshole. And Christian Slater and Samantha Mathis, they go to some water. Get a little bit of breathing room. After all that, kinda needed it.
But the breathing room doesn't stay around for long.
Nope. Because then they put the nuke on a boat. And Samantha Mathis hides in it. Because okay. But then the bad guys get on the boat. And, you know. And Christian Slater, he's like hiding somewhere in the water. Something. But then they're off in the boat. And he has to go find them now. So yeah. And then, oh, this scene was kind of funny. John Travolta, he sends a video to the people in Washington. I like his little ransom video. It like,
oh, the video is so funny.
He like, I don't know how to describe it. He like
threatens them, and then he just intercuts a clip of a nuclear bomb going off.
He like says, you know, like, give us the money, and if not, and then it just cuts to the nuclear explosion. That's like stock footage. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be funny, but I find it very amusing.
It probably wasn't, but...
And just the way he was smiling, too, maybe that was also part of it. I was also noticing that Samantha Mathis has a catchphrase in this movie.
She does?
A couple of times she says, this is a really bad idea, before running towards, like, a vehicle, and then, you know...
Well, it's usually because it's a pretty bad idea.
Guess that's her catchphrase in the movie. There's... I'll be back. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. This is a really bad idea. And then Christian Slater meets with Delroy Lindo. Oh, that's right. Delroy Lindo's in this movie.
After this scene, does he just not reappear for the rest of the movie? Because I don't remember him after this, like, one scene with him.
I don't know. He might have. I guess he went off to go eat some sesame cake. And then scolded Tim Curry for eating it. That might make an interesting podcast, actually, Congo. And then there's a train carrying John Travolta, his goons, and the nuke.
And now Samantha Mathis.
And Samantha Mathis, yeah, she climbs onto the train, sneaks onto it. I like John Travolta's line, smile, boys, we're about to retire.
And so he tried to pull, like a little scheme. So he ended up leaving behind an ID for Salt Lake City. And so they go to fortify Salt Lake City, but he's actually heading towards Denver. Which Christian Slater figures out, like, right away.
So find out things to do in Denver when he's dead. And Samantha Mathis, she kills one guy. Then John Travolta finds her and takes her hostage. We get a kind of weird moment. He strokes her with a gun.
Yeah, he's like holding her hostage, getting her to put in the code for the nuke.
Yeah, because I guess he's a pervert. He just...
Yeah.
Yeah, he forces her to activate the nuke, and she instead cancels the code.
Mm.
He's like seeing if she'll like crack, basically. And she says, I'm dead either way, so do it yourself, asshole. And he's about to shoot her and throw her off the train, but he opens the train doors and sees
a helicopter with Christian Slater matching the speed of the train.
Yep, right on cue. That was, I don't think that was supposed to be funny, but just...
Oh, but just the way it's shot is so funny to see.
It is, yeah. And then they have a little shootout. There's a chase across the top of the train. The blades of the helicopter chop one guy up. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Slater, he shoots one guy. He like grabs the gun out of Samantha Mathis' belt and just drops down. Shoots the guy between her legs. Pretty cool scene. The helicopter crashes into a hill because the pilot's an idiot. That seems to happen quite I've noticed that in like some action movies. Is just the pilots, they get distracted and then they just crash into things.
They just die so easily.
There's like a Chuck Norris movie where the main villain I guess in that movie he like lost control of the plane, so I kind of see what they name it. Missing in Action 3. There's a great movie there. And one guy takes off in a helicopter, but he doesn't realize that the fuel leaked, so he ends up getting blown up. There's a lot of kind of ridiculous death scenes towards the end, I noticed.
It's just, we have goons, we need to kill them off somehow.
In memorable ways, too. Travolta sets the bomb to go off in 5 minutes, and even Howie Long, he's like asking, "What the fuck are you doing?" and tries to get him to turn it off.
He's not ready.
Again, another line that makes him just a psychopath. He says, "Everybody dies, Kelly. I'm as good a reason as any." And Slater, he kicks Howie Long off the train, and he falls to a really goofy scream.
Yeah, it's not a Wilhelm scream.
It's not the Wilhelm scream. I think it's called the Howie scream.
Huh.
So I guess it was named after Howie Long, but anyway, and then we get, this is a great scene. John Travolta and Christian Slater are face to face again. And we get some pretty good lines here. One of them is, because he's like holding the bomb, he's like saying, if I press this button, I can set it off. I press this, I can disarm it. And then Slater says, "Why don't you disarm it then?" He says, "I'm not in the mood."
Yeah.
He forces Slater to put his weapon down, puts the detonator on top of a $20 bill. Again, because of course. And then we get my favorite exchange in the movie. You probably know which one I'm talking about.
I think I do, yeah.
You're out of your mind. Ain't it cool?
Christian Slater, he says, "You're out of your mind." And then John Travolta says, "Yeah, ain't it cool?" Again, he's insane and he knows it. Insane in the membrane. Anyway. Going insane, got no brain. And they have a fight scene. And all this stuff on the train, it kept making me think of other movies with action scenes on trains.
Like Indiana Jones 3.
The Last Crusade, yeah. Buster Keaton's movie, The General. There's a Marx Brothers movie that ends on a train, Go West. Tons of James Bond movies. There are so many James Bond movies where there's an action scene on a train. Everything from Rush with Love to Octopussy, Skyfall.
Spectre has one.
Spectre, yeah. Where he fights Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
And Dave Bautista's last word is, "shit." And it's his only line in the movie, too. Basically, if there's a train, there will be an action sequence on top of it. Or in it. And Slater deactivates the bomb. And then it just flies at John Travolta full speed, launches him into some fuel tanks.
It explodes.
It was insane. It's a pretty good death scene right there. And I love the little stare that Travolta gives the bomb before it runs into him. He just stands up and stares at just... Oh, it's... And a smile. It's so funny. And in all the wreckage and explosions, somehow,
A $20 bill.
it's a bit burnt up, but you can still make out Andrew Jackson's face on it.
Yeah. And then the movie just kind of ends.
Yeah, he sees Samantha Mathis, they hug, and only then do they learn each other's names.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what their characters' names were.
It was Hale.
Like Riley Hale, I think.
Yeah, Riley
Terry
Hale and
Carmichael.
Terry. Yeah.
Great names.
But yeah, at that point, the movie just ends. We killed John Travolta. What else are we gonna do?
I thought they were like gonna make out or something, you know, because that's usually what happens in movies like this. But no, it just ends. That's the movie.
It's such an abrupt ending, but it fits. The whole movie is so fast that you don't even really mind that once it says it's done, you're like, yeah, okay, I guess it's done.
Yeah. Okay, so getting to overall thoughts. I don't remember. Was there a song playing over the end credits? I don't think so, but
Well, there was like music, but it was like music for the movie. It wasn't like a song that was like sung or anything.
it wasn't "How Do I Live" or something like that, like in Con Air. I will say I do think this movie kind of suffers in comparison to other John Woo movies.
Mm.
Because I'm used to his movies having way crazier action scenes. I'm thinking of like the hospital shootout in Hard Boiled, or the stuff in Face Off. I mean,
yeah,
Face
there's a lot
Off,
of crazy ones in Face Off.
action scenes. That boat chase at the end of Face Off is so ridiculous. That being said, it's decent enough for what it is. You know, it's a '90s action movie. You know,
highly entertaining. A lot of it's due to Travolta's performance.
Travolta's a very entertaining villain, very funny. You know, you can tell he's having a good time making this movie.
Oh yeah,
you're out of your mind. Yeah, ain't it cool? Christian Slater, he's fine. He's just kind of a middle of the road action hero.
Not great, not terrible.
I feel like this movie would have been better if Nicolas Cage was in it. You know.
Oh yeah,
like in Face Off, or who else was popular? Like Bruce Willis. Maybe Bruce Willis was in this. Sylvester Stallone was in this instead. That would have been interesting. Only problem there though is you know instantly that Stallone's gonna be the good guy.
Oh yeah.
You know he's gonna be the one that wins. Do we get to win
I'm trying
this
to
time?
think of a movie where Stallone's the villain.
Death Race 2000. That's like the only one I think of off the top of my head. Oh damn. There's not very many though.
I tried looking up to see movies where Stallone is a villain. I found a Reddit thread where someone said, "I'm pretty sure that if you're Russian, Sylvester Stallone plays a bad guy quite frequently."
And in the Rambo 2 and 3, Rocky 4.
Oh, Spy Kids 3D.
That's that's right. That's a shitty movie, but whatever. That's a terrible movie. He plays like, oh my gosh, Elijah Wood's in that movie too, if I remember right. But yeah, that's a shitty movie. Samantha Mathis, she's decent in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
I think she plays off of Christian Slater well. In parts, she ends up being more interesting than Christian Slater, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
The action scenes and stunts are good. I feel like the plot just feels kind of just standard,
It's just kind of there. It's an excuse to have John Travolta's character scenes and like some of the action
didn't really
scenes.
take. I think what happened here is there isn't anything terrible in this movie here, but I feel like the movie didn't take very many risks.
Yeah.
It didn't really try to stick out as much compared to some of the other movies of this type. It just it does the job, but it doesn't try to do anything too ambitious.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like they
And I
played
think-
it very safe.
And I think if we're gonna compare,
I mean, it's not as
it to
ambitious
Con Air-
as Morbius. I mean, come on, the greatest
And
movie
I-
ever made.
And then I think if we're gonna compare it to Con Air, I think I did have a bit more enjoyment with Con Air just because we had more entertaining characters. It wasn't just one actor.
John Travolta's an entertaining villain, but he's no John Malkovich
Yeah.
in Con Air. And Christian Slater, he's fine, but come on, he's not Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Now, Face Off, on the other hand,
I am excited to get to that one.
there's a movie right there. But yeah, I think we can move on to the trivia.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna go grab something to drink, and then I'll be back.
I should too, actually. My throat's getting kind of dry.
Ah, I'm dropping everything. No, do not steal my chair, cat. No.
Alright.
All right, do you
Getting
mind
to
if I
the-
start with my piece of trivia that I have real quick?
Yeah, who is Harry Gregson Williams?
Okay, so when I was watching this movie, particularly the Humvee chase scene where Christian Slater's running off with all the nukes, I was listening to the music and I was like, huh, this sounds really familiar. Well, earlier today I was actually playing Metal Gear Solid 2, and I was listening to that music and they sounded incredibly similar. So I did a little bit of research. So on the back of the box of Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, there's a little blurb that says, powerful music score composed by Harry Gregson Williams. He's done the soundtrack for Armageddon and The Rock. Like, those are two things listed on the back of the case. So I looked it up, and Harry Gregson Williams is actually credited as assisting Hans Zimmer with the soundtrack in this movie.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Because I was about to say, is Harry Gregson Williams like a pseudonym for Hans Zimmer or something?
Yeah, this guy's done a lot of movies.
Yeah, some of the trivia I have. Christian Slater starred in this. He also co-starred in 3,000 Miles to Graceland, which co-starred Courtney Cox, who was in Masters of the Universe.
Let's go. Let us go. We got our connection.
And also I realized that actually that movie would put Escape from LA closer to Masters of the Universe than the other one I came up with. So, because Kurt Russell is in 3,000 Miles to Graceland. I was looking for the Dolph Lundgren connection. I wasn't looking for the Courtney Cox connection. And this got 2 thumbs down from Siskel and Ebert, but there's something very interesting about this review,
Okay.
which I posted in the chat, because Gene Siskel, this is the only time he changed his opinion on the movie mid-show.
Wow.
Because he spent he spends the first half of the review praising it, and then Roger Ebert, when he voiced his criticisms, Gene Siskel, he's listening to this, and then he realized, I actually agree with that, and he changed his vote to a thumbs down.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a really funny review. And then there's another part at the end, which one thing that is kind of a recurring joke in some of the reviews is Gene Siskel would make fun of Roger Ebert for giving Cop and a Half a positive review, and at the end of the at the interview, he's like, "Okay, I changed my mind. Now do me a favor, look into the camera and say I was wrong about Cop and a Half. It wasn't a good movie." And Roger Ebert, he refused. I just love how he never let him live that one down. But basically, their review, they thought it was kind of a standard 90s action movie, and if I remember right, they thought like Travolta was too nice of a guy to play the main villain, which I guess at that point he hadn't really played too many villains in movies, so I can kind of see that criticism. But yeah, of all the movies, this is the one where he's like, oh, I changed my mind. Has that
is
ever
interesting.
happened? Has that ever happened on this podcast?
That kind of happened with me in one episode. I need to look up our...
Was it Willow?
I think it was Willow. Because the more we talked about it, the less and less enthusiastic I was about the movie.
Last Jedi, I think, was another one where you'd like... Because before that, you said Attack of the Clones was your least favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah.
But then after talking about Last Jedi, you changed your mind.
And now Rise of Skywalker is my least favorite.
Which, again, that was... Yeah. That one's probably also... Yeah, my least favorite as well. Okay, other review. What do you want to guess Leonard Maltin gave this movie?
2 out of 4 stars.
You are correct.
Let's go. I'm in your head, Leonard.
He called it an extraordinarily stupid action movie.
Fair.
Packed with director Wu's expected action set pieces and stunts. But Travolta's over-the-top bad guy is fairly monotonous, and story continuity / credibility is almost non-existent. Did it have to be this dumb?
I think it being that dumb worked in its favor, honestly.
Says the guy who liked Batman Forever. And Die Another Day. He liked to Die Another Day, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. Both way dumber movies than this. Was nominated for 3 MTV Movie Awards.
Oh, wow.
You're probably not going to guess these categories. Best Action Sequence.
Okay.
Which it lost to Braveheart. Which, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The battle scenes, Best Fight, which it lost to Happy Gilmore.
Imagine being an action movie and you lose Best Fight to Happy Gilmore.
To Adam Sandler, yeah, that's sad. To be fair, it was a pretty good fight. The one with him and Bob Barker.
Yeah.
That movie does not hold up, though. And Best Villain, which it lost to 7, which, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But wait, 2 of those movies came out in 1995.
That's incredibly rough for Broken Arrow to lose to last year's movies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. John Travolta was originally going to play Christian Slater's role, which that would have made this movie very different.
Very different. I wonder who they would have gotten to play the villain in that case.
Nicolas Cage.
Honestly, I would have loved that. To have 2 back-to-back Nick Cage, Travolta, John Woo movies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The movie was filmed in and around the Glen Canyon, so it shares some of the same locations as Superman 3.
Yep.
The insane ending of Superman 3, good lord. Where they're, like, playing the video game of, like, shooting missiles at Superman, and at the same time, missiles are being shot at Superman. And then there's the crazy, like, death computer that tries killing everyone. Anyway. Oh my god, what a crazy movie. John Travolta is a pilot in real life.
Really?
He owns 4 private planes. I think he used to own 5, actually, but he, like, donated it. Christian Slater is not a pilot and doesn't own any planes.
Well, that's disappointing.
I think he like does like karate though, so right,
Oh, okay.
there's something in his favor. Apparently, one of the producers' ideas for Rambo First Blood Part 2 was to have Rambo team up with a character played by John Travolta. That would have made that a different movie.
Yeah, that would be super weird.
Stallone ended up directing Travolta in the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive.
What?
And Travolta said Stallone was his favorite director to work with, saying he made him look best on screen.
I had no idea that Stallone directed that movie.
I mentioned that in another podcast, but I guess you forgot.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
To be fair, though, a lot of people forget there was a sequel to Saturday Night Fever. And who knows, maybe we'll end up doing a podcast on it. It's really weird comparing it to the first movie, because the first Saturday Night Fever is actually kind of a dark movie. There's some fucked up stuff that happens in that movie, but anyway. John Travolta's favorite actor is James Cagney. And come to think of it, I can see a bit of James Cagney in his performance in this movie. I guess that ending where he blows up is, James Cagney getting blown up in white heat, made it my top of the world. But anyway. And Christian Slater is a huge fan of Jack Nicholson, which does not show in the movie.
No, not at all.
And I found a few quotes from Christian Slater about Broken Arrow. I tried to play the outright heroic type, like in Broken Arrow, but I could tell John Travolta was having more fun than I was because he got to be the fun bad guy. I misspelled John Travolta's name in this, apparently. John Travolta.
I do feel like I agree. Like, it looks like John Travolta's role was a blast to play.
Yeah, it does. And especially when you watch Face Off. Gosh. He did call John Travolta and John Woo professionals. That was nice of him. And said that he had fun working on the movie. And apparently he was a huge fan of John Woo and really wanted to work with him.
Huh.
He said this about working with him. He's a very cerebral man, very sweet, very quiet, much in the same way Neil Jordan is. I don't know where John's English is today, but at that time he didn't speak English that well, so our communication was limited. Basically, he told me I was supposed to be playing Steve McQueen. And I forget who he said John Travolta was supposed to be like. But that was all the direction I really got. But what a genius he is, a real master of the medium.
I feel like John Woo would be pretty fun to work with just looking at the kinds of movies he makes.
Yeah, probably. Maybe a little bit dangerous just because of all the explosions and pyrotechnics, too. Gosh, some of those action scenes in Mission Impossible 2 are just ridiculous. Like, that motorcycle chase, where they jump off of the motorcycles and tackle each other. It's so absurd. John Woo's earlier cut came in at the 2-hour mark and featured more character development and more violence in the action scenes. Because the actual movie, when you watch it, it feels very streamlined.
It does. It's very well put together, I would say.
Very well paced and well edited. There's hardly any fat on it. Christian Slater turned down a role in Assassins to work with director John Woo. Which I don't know if he was supposed to play Sylvester Stallone's role in that, or Antonio Banderas. But anyway,
do you think that was a worthwhile trade?
Yeah. Assassins is not one of Stallone's best movies. Richard Donner directed that. Oh, wow.
Huh.
And the Wachowskis apparently helped write the story.
Huh.
Before The Matrix. Damn. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a podcast on Assassins at some point. The way Antonio Banderas dies in that movie is kind of funny because Stallone, he's like facing away from Antonio Banderas, and Julianne Moore, she like puts on some sunglasses so he can see Antonio Banderas in the reflection of her sunglasses, and he uses that
Oh my
to
God.
shoot him from behind. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That sounds, honestly, that sounds like something that'd be in like a Bollywood action movie.
That really does.
Christian Slater did almost all of his own stunts.
Huh.
Pretty impressive. Howie Long's character was originally supposed to be killed off earlier in the picture, but when Fox execs saw the dailies and liked his performance, his role was quickly expanded so he could be in the whole movie.
Huh. I've heard of that happening before in like TV shows, but not in like a movie.
Yeah. Like the Fonz. The Fonz was originally just like supposed to be like a guest character, and then he ended up becoming the most popular character on that show. As preparation for his role in Broken Arrow, Christian Slater gave up smoking.
Huh.
John Travolta didn't, apparently.
No.
Samantha Mathis asked friend Sandra Bullock for tips on doing the action scenes. Bullock told her to hum the James Bond theme before every take.
Wow, another James Bond connection there.
I actually heard, I don't know if you heard this, but the guy who composed this James Bond theme, he died a few days ago, if I remember right.
I did hear that, yeah.
That really sucks. So that's a great theme tune right there. Most of the action sequences were shot on location, not on a studio set. Which I think shows it looks like they're actually there, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't really notice anything studio. Like, the only studio scenes that the only scenes that feel like they were studio scenes is just the scenes in the war room.
Yeah.
When they're staring up at the big board. But yeah. Oh, really? Huh. Really? That's not what I read earlier. Apparently the phrase broken arrow is not actually used to refer to the theft, loss, or seizure of nuclear weapons or components from the U.S. That's known as an empty quiver. Again, this is off IMDb, though, so this might be inaccurate.
Yeah.
Just like John Woo's first U.S. movie, Hard Target, this film suffered from problems with recuts forced by studio interference and ratings problems caused by the MPAA.
That's interesting, because it doesn't feel like it.
Just because there's not, like, a ton of, like, blood, I think is where it shows. Because this doesn't feel, like, as violent as...
Yeah.
Say Con Air, I mean, you know,
Face Off.
Or Face Off. Face Off, you literally see the reflection of the guy's face that got taken off. Like, Jesus. According to some sources, studio interference on this movie was even higher than the one on Hard Target.
Wow.
Helen Hunt was offered the role of Terry Carmichael, but turned it down in favor of Twister.
Well, that's an interesting choice.
Was that I can't really see her in this role, so
yeah,
it probably worked out better that way.
Man, I want to watch Twister now.
Twister. I think we're gonna need a bit of a break from like high budget action movies for a little while.
Is Twister an action movie?
It's a disaster movie, I guess, but still, it's like I'd like to get out of the 90s for a little bit after doing Face Off, you know. Twister does have a good soundtrack, though, you know. There's a few Van Halen songs in that. Howie Long did his own stunts in the film, of course.
It sounds like most everybody did their own stunts.
Samantha Mathis is Christian Slater's former girlfriend. I wonder, did they start a relationship while they were on this movie? Or before this movie? All it's showing up Wikipedia is just all his, like, arrests
Marriages.
and stuff. Jesus Christ.
Samantha Mathis dated Christian Slater, with whom she worked on her first movie, Pump Up the Volume, in 1990.
Oh, okay. So they're both in that, huh? Look, Pump Up the Volume isn't exactly a movie I go back to all the time. To promote the film, the publicity unit sent sunglasses resembling the ones worn by John Travolta to media outlets.
Huh.
The sunglasses had the Broken Arrow logo printed on the lower left lens.
I think that'd be kind of a fun thing to have, is the Broken Arrow sunglasses.
Yeah. You can look like John Travolta.
Who looks like Iceman.
Yeah, Iceman, yeah. And then if somebody says you're out of your mind, you can just take them off and say, yeah, ain't it cool? John Travolta's one of the few actors that probably could have gotten away with that line, actually.
Yeah, very few people could deliver that and have it work.
Maybe Nicolas Cage, and maybe Jack Nicholson.
Oh, Jack Nicholson could pull it off.
That seems like something he would say in, like, Batman, you know, as the Joker. A portion of Hans Zimmer's score was also used in Scream 2.
Really?
The best Scream movie, if you ask me.
That's an interesting choice for...
I don't
Scream
remember
movie.
which part. Again, I'm not exactly, like, a Scream expert here.
That's one of the few franchises I still haven't watched anything from.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
The first two are good, then they just get they get a little too silly. They became a little too self-referential, you know. If we do podcasts on those, though, we would get a few movies of Courtney Cox in them.
Oh, yeah.
And Matthew Lillard played Shaggy in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies.
And he also played a character in the new Twin Peaks season.
I forgot about that. Wait.
Yeah, he was like I think he was the principal of the school. And so, like, they were investigating him because the librarian's body was found without a head. Or no, her head was found without a body, because Major Briggs' body was the one that showed up.
He looks so different. Damn.
He does.
He's like, oh, damn. His, like, hair is, like, almost all gone. Damn. So that's probably why I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, no, the first time I watched it, I was like, he looks so familiar, but I can't figure out from where.
He looks like one of the aliens from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in one picture. Like, Jesus, what happened? You must have gone off the Scooby snacks for too long or something.
I'm now on the Indiana Jones wiki page for interdimensional beings.
In an oh gosh, this is kind of racist. Do you want me to read this?
Go for it.
In an interview on Parkinson, Halle Berry recalled that the producers turned her down for the role of Terry Carmichael and told her there aren't any black park rangers.
Whoa!
Fucking racist.
Wow, someone just straight up went out and said that.
Jesus Christ. I don't want to end it on that note. Jeez.
Yeah, let's get one more good one in there.
John Travolta formed a close friendship with John Woo while filming. That makes sense because he didn't face off. And this makes sense, actually. Popular movie news website Ain't It Cool News got its name from a line in the movie.
Huh.
Is that actually true? Like, I mean, it makes sense.
It would. It's a good line to copy if you're going to name your website after something.
Yes.
Kind of like
Yep.
it's kind of like how they named "You're the Man Now, Dog."
You're the Man Now, Dog. Yep, from Finding Forrester.
Yeah.
Of all the lines from a Sean Connery movie to use, I mean,
You're the man now, dog.
I guess you can't really name a website "Winners Go Home and Fuck the Prom Queen." So,
I mean, on like April Fool's Day, they changed the title to or the name of the site to other Sean Connery quotes from that movie.
What other famous quotes are from?
I need to find it. Oh, there was "Punch the Keys" for God's sake.
Because I mean, there's so many other Sean Connery movies you can choose. I mean, you could choose "Why Does the Sun Come Up" from Highlander, or he sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue from The Untouchables. Or hell, one of the James Bond one-liners. I mean, there's plenty you can choose from there. Okay, so yeah, I think that, we can end on that note. Ain't it cool news? Got its name from this movie. Yeah, ain't it cool?
Ain't it cool?
God.
All right, well, I guess that does it for Broken Arrow.
Yeah, next time we'll be looking at an even better John Travolta, John Woo movie called
Face Off. I'm so excited for this one.
And yes, the title is literal.
All right, well, in that case, play the clip.
Play the Andy Griffith clip, yep.
Good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.